I never want to go through what I went through yesterday ever again, and I also don't want any of you to have to go through it at all either. So in case you somehow didn't see it, our YouTube channel, GameXplain, the one you're hopefully watching right now, although it's currently GameXplain Real, we're trying to get the old name back, it's a whole thing, it was hacked. It was taken over by a bunch of crypto bros, and they completely rebranded the channel to the point that you couldn't even recognize it as GameXplain. They changed the channel name, profile picture, the banner, they privated every video ever, and they were streaming Bitcoin nonsense throughout the day. The channel was completely unrecognizable unless you happen to check the community page, which they somehow forgot about. So, understandably, a lot of people were confused by this. Like, who are these Bitcoin guys now on my subscription feed? I never followed them. And that's completely fair. It was a very confusing time in which we ourselves couldn't do anything for 18 hours. All we could do was sit back, hope that YouTube fixed it after we contacted them, and to their credit, they did fix it pretty quickly for us compared to some other YouTube channels, which it may have taken days, weeks, or in some cases, they never get their channel back at all. And so that obviously is extremely scary. I myself, although I felt pretty confident we'd get the channel back, I didn't know for sure, and I also didn't know how long it would take. On top of that, my personal Gmail, the one that I use for both personal and business use, was also compromised in the process, locking me out of pretty much my entire life online. My Gmail, the YouTube channel, my photos, and of course, my Google Drive, where I store all my scripts. I have a giant document full of 17 pages of notes I've been taking over the past week or so for what I hope will be a banger video coming up that I completely was locked out of, and I was afraid I would never get that back because I'm really excited to make this video for you all, and I might not have been able to had I not got my account back. So in this video, I want to quickly cover 3 main things. 1, how it happened. 2, how you can avoid it happening to yourself, and 3, what you can do about it if it does happen, specifically if your channel gets hacked or your account gets compromised. Now, of course, I am not a security expert, clearly, so take anything I say, as more of an overview of it, and feel free to do your own research, and I'll link to some things in the description below to hopefully help you through this. That way we can better understand everything and be prepared in the event it does happen to you, which hopefully we're going to avoid, because once again, I don't want anyone to have to go through this. So first, let's cover how it happened and the mistakes I made that enabled that. And as many people have rightfully speculated, it's pretty much the exact same scam that other YouTube channels, especially in the gaming and tech space, have fallen victim to, including Linus Tech Tips, a massive channel, fell victim to the same exact scam that I did. So essentially what it amounts to in a quick overview is, yes, it was an email, it was a sponsorship offer, and they basically tricked me into downloading a program that gave them instant access to my online session. They were able to impersonate me online in the accounts I was logged into, thereby bypassing the 2-factor security that I had set up. So they had access to my Google account, my YouTube channel, and perhaps even others that allow them to mimic my, myself from their own computer, and then they were then able to lock me out by changing all the security factors, including my backup email, my 2-factor phone number, and anything else, which again completely locked me out of my YouTube and Google account without Google's help. Okay, now let's break it down a little bit more as to how this actually happened, because scam emails are the oldest trick in the book, and I thought I would never fall victim to it, because how could I? We grew up on the internet, right? We know that there are scam emails out there. Here's how they got me. So it all began, like so many things, with an email. This one specifically offering a sponsorship for an upcoming game from a big video game company. Now, we get sponsorship offers all the time, many of which are ones we don't even bother with replying to at all, but we'll often follow up just to find out more details about it, negotiate the price and all of that, and that's what I did in this case as well. So after some brief correspondence over a day or two, they eventually followed up with an email containing an attachment, a PDF, that had more of an outline of the overall plan, as well as more details on the contract. Now, in my experience in both the gaming space and dealing with sponsorships, PDFs aren't all that uncommon, often being an easy way of conveying details in a visually pleasing manner. So I downloaded it, especially because Google didn't report there being any viruses as it automatically scans any attachments, and I opened it up, and it still looked just fine. Within the PDF was an active link to a supposed second PDF containing the contract offer itself, the thing I would actually sign. This is where I really screwed up. I completely, without thinking, downloaded that link, tried opening it up, and sure enough, it wasn't a PDF. In fact, it didn't seem to do anything at all. And that immediately set off alarm bells. I'm like, what have I just done? Especially because I realized as I was opening it, that icon did not look like a typical PDF icon. It actually ended up being a screensaver wrapper for an executable, allowing them to steal my online token session that I mentioned before. So from this one mistake, they had immediate access to my online session, again including my Google and YouTube accounts. Knowing I screwed up, I immediately unplugged my computer, ran a malware check, got rid of the program, and it still wasn't enough. It was enough time for them to get access to my online session and change everything. And this is when my nightmare began, ensuring I would not get any sleep for 36 hours. I did not even know this type of hack was possible. I didn't think people could just steal my online session, bypass two-factor security, and get instant access to my accounts, and then change everything, locking me out of them. I had no idea that exact process was possible, let alone that easy. And that brings us to part 2, how to avoid falling victim yourself. Of course, the obvious solution is to just avoid downloading anything ever, especially from emails you don't recognize. Now, that isn't always viable, but it is something to keep in mind. To be extremely cautious when it's dealing with a source you're not familiar with, and especially attachments from that source. So in cases like this, such as getting a sponsorship offer, do your research. Check the domain link that the email came from. Does it actually work and lead you to an authentic looking website? In my case, it didn't, and that should have been alarm bell number 1. Another thing you can do is check to see if the person that sent the email actually exists. Can you find a social media account for that person and do they actually work at that company? Now that's not a surefire way because of course they can just take the name of someone else, but it's at least another step to add to ensure the email is authentic. Plus, if you are able to find an authentic account for that person and you're still not sure if the email itself is from them, you can hit them up at the second source and verify the email did in fact come from them. Another thing is, does the email actually look professional? Is it written well and does it look like it's formatted correctly? In my case, neither was quite perfect. The formatting was a little odd and the English wasn't especially great, but it wasn't enough to trigger my alarm bells, especially because I chalked it up to them possibly being from a branch from elsewhere in the world. Again though, looking back, a clear, obvious sign. Now, if everything is looking on the up and up so far, still be cautious of attachments. Once again, they are not uncommon in this industry, but still be aware, and especially be aware of any links within those PDFs, particularly if it's a link for something that they claim is essential, like again, a contract in my case, requiring a second download. If they do that, do not trust it. There is no reason to trust it, especially again if it's something that they're basically requiring you to do. I again had never suspected this would be a concern before. Now I know better. Do not download anything you don't need from a PDF. So I cannot make it clear enough, unless you're 100% sure of the source of this email, be very careful with downloads, especially downloads contained within those downloads. And if you still make that mistake of downloading that second file, don't execute it! Look into what the file actually is first. Please God, do that, because remember, this is how they invaded Google's OMAC virus check and effectively lulled me into a state of mind where I wasn't being suspicious of anything. Be cautious. And finally, this brings us to step 3, what to do if you are hacked or your account is compromised, which again, you'll hopefully never have to deal with, especially if you follow my first 2 steps, but if you have reached this point, here are my suggestions for what to do, which again, may not be the only things you should do, these are just my tips to help you get through it. First, run a malware program if you suspect the hack is due to malware. I myself used Malwarebytes. It's a free program that worked quick and immediately caught and quarantined the troublesome program. Next, try to recover the account yourself. Assuming the hackers haven't already changed everything associated with it, you may still be able to get in, change the password, and effectively kick them out. But double check all the related security information to make sure that they haven't changed anything in addition to that, such as the phone number, email addresses, or anything else. Regardless of whether you're able to get back in or not, you'll also want to change the passwords for any other important accounts you think may have been compromised as part of this, especially if they relate to the email account associated with that YouTube account that you know has been compromised, especially if you weren't able to recover it, as that means the hackers still have access to your email and can send the forgotten password links to that same email for your other accounts, like your banking account or any other logins you may have. So again, update the passwords and possibly the emails for any other accounts you've been using recently. So those are some quick tips to hopefully help you out in the immediate aftermath of having your account hacked or compromised. Now, in the event you're not able to recover the account, here's what I suggest doing next to try and get it back. Number 1 is if your YouTube channel is associated with an MCN, a multi-channel network like Broadband TV or Screenwave, reach out to them first. They have a direct link to Google and can get this whole process started immediately. That's exactly what I did, and that's what got things rolling much quicker than anything else. Now, if you're not affiliated with an MCN, you'll definitely want to consult Google's own recovery guide. We'll link in the description below. It'll give you multiple steps to follow to try and get your account back, and what to do if you still can't. My final tip, believe it or not, involves Twitter, because if you can't get a hold of Google or YouTube in any other way, which is especially the case for some smaller YouTubers, try tagging at Team YouTube. This was recommended to me even after I had already gotten a hold of Google through my MCN, but I was freaking out, I was paranoid, and I wanted to get a hold of them in any number of ways possible, and sure enough, they came through. I tagged at Team YouTube, they got a hold of me, I think within just a few minutes, maybe an hour or so, and they were extremely communicative of the entire process. Now, I didn't have to work with them too much on Twitter, as eventually Google reached out to me directly, thanks again to my MCN contacting them first, which I learned helped many other creators before in all my research as I was freaking out during this whole process. So there you have some of the tips I picked up from my experience going through this whole hack that I hope you never have to go through yourself. Once again, I want to stress those tips may not be the only ones. There could be better ones out there, but I at least want to give you a starting point in case, in the event you unfortunately have to go through this horrible thing yourself. As for us, this was obviously a terrifying experience, and I hope no one else has to go through it, even though I'm sure others will. It was very scary not knowing what was going to happen, both to the YouTube channel as well as my own Google account, which has almost everything I've ever done online associated with it, both professionally and personally, and it was just a very scary time, even for that 18-hour period. I just didn't know what was going to happen, and I really can't thank all of you enough, both for the kind words and the encouragement and just the lovely support you guys all provided us, which absolutely helped us work through this, and me especially. It was very touching, and I really can't thank you all enough. Moving forward, we're still, picking up all the pieces. We still have to get our username back. We still have to get all the rest of the videos live on the channel. I've done a good chunk of them so far, but I still have more to go through. So hopefully everything will be fully resolved here in a few days. And again, I appreciate you just bearing with us as we work through this. As for anything else, you guys might be able to do if you're interested in just helping us out. Number one will be, please subscribe. We lost 20,000 subscribers during this, and if you, which I don't blame you at all. A lot of you didn't even know what was happening at that time. So if you unsubscribe, please consider resubscribing. Just click that button. We don't ask for it too often, so now's the time to resubscribe if you unsubscribe during the process or otherwise. We'd love to see you back and have you watching our videos. Also, please watch our videos. I don't know what it's going to do to our algorithm ranking. YouTube is largely a black box, but I have a feeling that being completely offline for a full day, plus still having videos not available, is probably going to affect us. So if you want to rewatch something or just, put something on in the background, we greatly, greatly appreciate it. Also, we have recently, a few months ago, turned on memberships of the channel that allow you special access to bonuses like special icons or emotes, and even early access to some videos, which we have a couple in there right now for upcoming videos, and we're going to be adding more, down the line. So if you want to support us, that's another great way of doing so. Just become a member, just click the little membership button right in the middle, and that's another great way too. But regardless of what you're able to do, we just love having you here, and we really appreciate your support, not just through this, but over the entire history of what's been a 14-year-long journey now, and possibly many more or not if we get hacked again. So hopefully that will happen, but you never know. I never thought we could hack this time, but now I know better to hopefully prevent that from happening again. Hopefully you all now know to avoid making the same mistake. So with that, everyone, thank you for watching, and of course stay tuned to GameXplain for more videos coming up in the near future. Maybe a little slower for these next couple of days, but we got more coming, especially this monster of a script I'm hoping to get done within the next month or so, and I'm really excited for it myself. I've been doing a lot of research, and we'll see how it turns out. I'm hopeful and excited, but you never know. On that note, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll catch you later. Have a great rest of your weekend or whatever is happening, whatever day it may be for you at the time you're watching this. Catch you later, everyone. Bye.